Hello and welcome. This is slow, calm B1 English for a quiet summer evening. Tonight, you'll hear 2 gentle garden stories at the end of a warm day. Then we'll review 10 phrases, practice quietly, and take one slower final pass. Listen for 6 phrases. The sun is going down, warm air, and to sit in the garden. The smell of cut grass, to listen to the birds, and to stay outside a little longer. If a word goes past you, let it go. Another one will come. You can practice the phrases in Recursio another day. The link is in the description. For now, just listen. Marta closes her laptop at 6:10. The room is warm. The window has been open all afternoon. She sits for a moment without moving. Then she stands up and she goes downstairs to the kitchen. She fills a glass with water and drinks it slowly, standing by the sink. Outside the kitchen window, the garden is very green. It's a small garden, a patch of grass, a wooden table, 2 chairs. A tomato plant in a pot, growing sideways. Marta opens the back door. The warm air comes in. It touches her face and her arms. Inside, the house is still. Outside, the evening is just beginning. She steps out onto the grass in her socks. Then she goes back for her shoes and smiles at herself. Somebody cut the grass today. She can tell without looking. The smell of cut grass is everywhere, green and sharp and sweet. It's the smell of every summer she can remember. Marta sits down at the wooden table. It's warm under her hands. It has been in the sun all day. She likes to sit in the garden at this hour. Not in the middle of the day when the sun is strong. In the evening, when the light turns yellow and soft. The hours go by, and she doesn't move much. By 9, the sun is going down behind the houses at the end of the gardens. She can't see it now. She can only see what it leaves behind. The top windows of the houses are orange. The rest are gray. A line of gold along the top of the wall. Marta had a list for this evening. Wash the kitchen floor. Answer 2 messages. Find the box with the winter coats. The list is upstairs, on the desk, next to the laptop. It can stay there. This evening, she is going to do nothing in particular. She's not sleeping. She's not reading. She's not waiting for anyone. She's just sitting in a small garden at the end of a hot day. Somewhere behind the houses, a door opens and closes. A car goes past, slowly, and then the street is quiet again. And in the tree at the end of the garden, the birds are busy. Marta leans back in the chair and listens to the birds. There are 2 of them, she thinks, maybe 3. One of them makes the same 3 notes again and again and waits. Then, far away, another bird answers. The light is changing quickly now. The gold on the wall moves up, and then it's gone. The garden turns blue and soft. But the air stays warm. The ground stays warm. The table stays warm. This is what she loves about July. A long evening, not 1 short hour before dark, but 3 hours, sometimes 4. Where Marta lives, the day ends around 4 in December, and then it's dark for a long time. In July, the light goes slowly, like someone leaving a room without hurrying. Her neighbor comes out with a watering can. Marta can hear the water on the leaves. The neighbor sees her through the low fence, lifts a hand, and says that it's still warm. Marta says yes, it's still warm, and that she doesn't want to go in yet. The neighbor says something about tomatoes and about rain on Thursday, and goes back inside. Marta stays where she is. A moth comes to look at the kitchen window, and then changes its mind. The first star is over the roof, small and hard to see. She thinks, I'll stay outside a little longer. 10 more minutes, then the floor and the messages and the box with the coats. Or tomorrow. Tomorrow is another day. The birds have stopped now. The street is quiet. There's still a little light in the sky over the houses. Not much. The last of the light. Marta sits in the warm blue dark in a small garden, doing nothing in particular. And it's enough. Now, let's go through the phrases, slowly. Nothing to write down, just listen. The sun is going down. It means the sun is going lower in the sky, and the day is ending. The sun is going down. Let's walk back. Warm air. Air that feels pleasantly warm on your skin, but not too hot. She opened the door, and the warm air came in. To sit in the garden. To spend time in a garden, resting on a chair or on the grass. In the summer, we sit in the garden until it gets dark. The smell of cut grass. The green smell in the air after somebody has cut the grass. I love the smell of cut grass in June. To listen to the birds. To stop and pay attention to the sounds the birds are making. Sit down for a minute and listen to the birds. A long evening. An evening that seems to last for many hours, often with summer light in the sky. It was a long evening, and nobody wanted to go home. To do nothing in particular. To have no special plan or activity. Somebody asks about your Sunday, and you say, "We did nothing in particular." To stay outside a little longer. To spend a little more time outdoors instead of going inside. It's such a nice evening. Let's stay outside a little longer. It's still warm. You say this when the air continues to feel warm later in the day. It's 9 o'clock, and it's still warm. And the last one, the last of the light. The small amount of daylight that remains before it gets dark. We finished the work in the last of the light. That's all 10. You don't need to remember them tonight. You'll hear them again in a moment without any explanations. Now, a second story. A different garden on the same evening. Behind an apartment building on the edge of town, there are 8 small gardens in a row. One for each apartment on the ground floor. Low fences between them. No gates. Pavel gets home at 7:30 with bread and a bag of ice. The kitchen is warmer than the hallway, and the open window brings in the evening air. He puts most of the ice in the freezer and drops 3 small pieces into a glass of water. Then he stands still for a moment, with one hand on the counter. It's the first quiet minute of his day. He has no plan for dinner. He looks at the bread and then at the open window. A few minutes later, he carries a chair into the garden and puts it near the tomatoes. He goes back for the bread, a small piece of cheese, a plate, and the cold water. An old wooden box becomes his table. Pavel sits in the garden and tears off a piece of bread. The warm air is full of the smell of cut grass. Somebody in the row cut theirs this afternoon. Probably the family in number 4. They cut it every Wednesday. In garden number 4, Elena is watering her plants. She sees Pavel's simple supper and holds up a bowl of tomatoes. She has more than she can eat, so she passes 2 tomatoes over the low fence. Pavel cuts one into slices on his plate and adds a little salt. He offers Elena some bread. She takes a small piece and thanks him. There was no invitation and no plan. The food simply moved from one garden to another. They talk for a minute about the dry ground and the rain that may come tomorrow. Then Elena returns to her watering, and Pavel returns to his supper. He eats slowly. The bread is soft, the tomato is sweet, and the ice makes quiet sounds in the glass. It isn't a special meal, but it feels right for this warm evening. An hour goes by. The sun is going down behind the trees at the end of the field. The sun is still on the top windows of the building, one line of them up high. Pavel waters the tomatoes. It takes 4 minutes. Then he sits down in the chair, and there is nothing else that has to happen. In the garden, 2 doors down, a small radio is playing quietly. Not music, exactly. A voice, and then some music, and then a voice again. Somebody is turning the pages of a newspaper. A child on a bicycle goes past on the path behind the fences, twice, and then a 3rd time. On the 3rd trip, the child slows down beside Pavel's garden. She points to the tomato plants and asks if any of them are ready. Pavel bends closer and finds one small red tomato under a leaf. He had planned to leave it there until tomorrow. Instead, he picks it, wipes it gently on his shirt, and holds it over the fence. The child takes it carefully, says thank you, and rides away. Pavel looks at the empty place on the plant. He doesn't mind. The first tomato of the summer has gone to someone who was happy to find it. Pavel closes his eyes and listens to the birds in the field. He had thought about calling his brother tonight. He'll call him tomorrow. There's nothing urgent to discuss. But he takes a picture of the tomato plants and sends it to his brother. He writes, "The first one was ready today." A minute later, his brother replies, "Save the next one for me. Call me tomorrow. Pavel smiles and places the phone face down beside his plate. This evening, he is doing nothing in particular, and that is the whole plan. It's a long evening. That's the best thing about the middle of summer. At 9 o'clock, there is still light in the sky. At 9:30, there is still enough to see the tomatoes. The lights in the building's windows come on, one by one. A kitchen, a blue television, a lamp behind a curtain. Somebody 3 gardens away says that it's still warm. Somebody else agrees. The radio goes off. The newspaper pages stop turning. One by one, the neighbors go inside, and the garden's empty. Pavel decides to stay outside a little longer. The chair is comfortable. The ground is still warm from the sun. Over the field, in the last of the light, the sky looks pale green, then gray, then dark. When he finally goes in, the kitchen feels cool and a little strange. After so long outside, the room feels unfamiliar for a moment. He leaves the door open behind him for another minute. A little practice now, very gentle. I'll say something, and you can answer in your mind. Or, if you feel sleepy, just listen. The phrases will still be here tomorrow. How would you say that the sun is going lower in the sky? The sun is going down. How would you describe air that feels pleasant on your skin at the end of a hot day? Warm air. How would you say that you are resting outside among plants and flowers? To sit in the garden. What do you call the green smell in the air after someone cuts the grass? The smell of cut grass. How would you say that you are paying attention to the sounds in the trees? To listen to the birds. What do you call an evening that seems to last for many hours? A long evening. How would you say that you had no special plans or activities? I did nothing in particular. How would you say that the day is ending, but the heat has stayed? It's still warm. How would you say that you don't want to go inside yet? I'll stay outside a little longer. And the small amount of daylight left in the sky before it gets dark. The last of the light. That's enough practice. Now there is nothing to answer. Let's go back to the garden one more time, slowly. You don't have to follow every word now. It's the end of the day. You open a door and you step outside. The warm air is waiting for you. Somebody cut the grass today. You can smell it, the smell of cut grass. You sit in the garden at a wooden table, and the table is warm. The sun is going down behind the houses. You can't see it. You can only see the gold it leaves along the top of the wall. There are birds in the tree at the end of the garden. You listen to the birds. Three notes, a pause, and then an answer, far away. There is a list of things somewhere inside the house. It can wait. Tonight, you are doing nothing in particular. The light changes. The garden turns blue. But the ground keeps the heat of the day. It's still warm. It's a long evening. It stays light much later than it does in winter. The light goes slowly. A neighbor comes out and goes in again. A car passes somewhere. The first star appears over the roof. You decide to stay outside a little longer. 10 more minutes. Or 20. Over the houses, there is a little brightness left, the last of the light. And then the garden is dark and warm and quiet. Here are the phrases one last time, slowly. The sun is going down. Warm air. To sit in the garden. The smell of cut grass. To listen to the birds. A long evening. To do nothing in particular. To stay outside a little longer. It's still warm. The last of the light. That's all for this evening. If you'd like to practice these phrases tomorrow, the link is below. For now, you can simply rest. Thank you for listening. I hope the rest of your evening feels calm. Take care, and I'll see you next time.